Okay, this could be a big old. This could be a skip video.
The test.
This could be a skip video. I don't have a effing clue what this is about. I do like Andrew Yang. He had some interesting views not too long ago when he ran for president ran for the primary, in 2016. Was that long ago? And I thought he had some interesting ideas, and I actually looked into some of his podcast stuff, and the dude's a pretty sweet dude. But I don't really know what. I don't think this is exactly regarding him. This is a forward party, but it does say with Andrew Yang. What is Freakonomics, and how does it intersect with politics? So this could be a skippable one, guys. We're gonna find out. I have no clue.
The test to becoming president does not really test the things you want in a president, to your point. Like, what you need to do to run for president is to be a bit of a, pardon my language, but like
a drama queen. Yeah, it all resolves. Charisma. It all resolves around bullshitting and charisma.
Kind of a media whore. I need to go and get yourself in front of cameras and work the press in the right way, totally independent of whatever substance is happening behind the scene. And the person you want as the president is somebody who just wants to be kind of, I would imagine, head down, thinking about policy, like doing the work less than the media side. So,
well, I feel like that's a huge issue we have in this country, because a lot of our politics is oriented in money, because they need money to advertise their policies or what they want to do. So then they have to campaign for, just constantly. And then when they actually get put into place, they're already working on their next step, because that's just kind of how it works for them. And I feel like that's one of the things we need to get out of politics is money. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but it's basically legal. It's like fucking legal bribery. What's it called? Oh, shit, Chad. I am drawing a blank. I hate it. It's basically where companies are billionaires or whatever, just kind of throw money at their the person that they want to be voted in, and then lobbying. Excuse me. Thank you. God damn it, lobbying. So lobbying, they're basically, they just promote themselves for the next step of kind of their next campaign and whatnot. So they're not actually getting a whole lot done, which is kind of problematic for me. But again, the whole thing being ran off of money is problematic to me, and a lot.
I generally agree with that, although I think there are many exceptions to the rule.
Certainly.
And just to be fair,
and Andrew was not that way, by the way. This was the thing with Andrew, was he struggled with that, because he was like, wait, now I have to go basically be a personality, and what I am is like a nerd.
Yeah, he
nerd who wants to get in the weeds.
And just to be fair, full disclosure, the reason I think I'm here is because I got to know Andrew, because years ago, apparently I met you that day. I ended up, I did a show, a Freakonomics radio episode with Andrew, whatever that was, 20. Yeah.
Okay, so I think Freakonomics, I looked over here, it's a podcast, just to keep us all caught up here. Freakonomics is a podcast.
19 or so.
Yeah.
And I don't typically interview politicians. I don't really do much about politics per se, because it's a really hard thing to do empirically and, whatnot.
It really is. Trying to stay non-biased and just, very hard, very hard.
But yeah, I was really impressed with him. And in terms of the characteristics that you say seem to be at counterpoint, one of them is that the world, the real world, is about nuance. It's not about black and like the problems that are obvious have been solved. Yeah. Everything that's left over is going to be hard, and no matter what you do, there's going to be an opposition. Mm-hmm. That's just the way the world is.
100%.
But if you come out with a
100%, there's going to be people opposed to everything. You're just going to have to, 100%.
Gospel proclamation about, no, I'm right, you're wrong, which is now kind of what our politics has become. It's plainly not a very fruitful way of doing it. But also the thing, and this is what I love about economics, even though I'm not an economist, but I've spent a lot of years now with economists and learning a fair amount about it, is that economists are one of the relatively few groups of people who really look at the world in terms of a cost-benefit analysis. Like if there's a thing that you want to do, or a program or a policy or something you want to buy, it really is like the old, like I've come to think that so much like what they used to call old wives' tales, like they were right. That a lot of like what our parents and grandparents and elders and elder generations taught is extraordinarily applicable, but we like to think that we're the ones that are reinventing the wheel, to hop on a cliche and a wives' tale.
Okay, I see. So I think what he's kind of getting at here is that we've had things that have worked in the past, and instead of accepting that, we've continuously tried to change things. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of hard to say that, just because technology is ever changing, and while we might try to reinvent the wheel, I think it's trying to reinvent the wheel around the current technology, and not rely on old stuff that may not be applicable to this time. So there's the other side of that. I feel like a counter argument to what he's saying a little bit. But I do think there probably were things, right? I mean, I think it's easy to just say everything in the past is a product of the past, but there are some things that definitely would work nowadays, for sure.
Have you ever felt caged by Freakonomics, or like, I have to be the steward of this brand that stands for this particular thing or does this particular thing? Like, wherever, like, I want to go do a topic that totally doesn't fit Freakonomics at all, and I'm stuck hearing what this brand means?
So that is a very good question. And the answer is no, I've not felt caged, because I have totally ignored what people think Freakonomics is and stands for. But it's interesting you say that, because once in a while, like if we do a political piece, like we had on the show this week, we had Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, which is not what I usually do. And I don't really enjoy talking to politicians that much, for the kind of
obvious reasons, because they don't want to dive into anything personal, really. So it kind of comes off as bland. You're just talking to a guy that's trying to promote what he's promoting to the public, and they don't really want to put their guard down, because then they're going to get fucking crucified by the media, by people that want to use it against them. It's understandable why politicians are kind of boring to watch, especially when they're not getting on personal levels. I think a really good one, if you're curious, Theo Von on this past weekend did an interview with Bernie Sanders, and I think that was a great example of like, I felt like Bernie was very personable in there. Not that Bernie never isn't. He seems like a very genuinely nice person, and I liked interviews like that. Even the Trump one, he did one with Donald Trump as well, and that one wasn't as how to put it. Every time I felt like Trump was trying to steer it back towards that, he would like kind of ask a question or like steer it in an opposite position to try to get, you know, in a little bit more of a personable realm with him. And I feel like that's what you should be doing as a podcast. And with politicians, it's kind of hard to do that, I imagine.
Kind of obvious reasons, but there were
kind of coax that personality out.
There were a variety of reasons why we felt compelled to do this, and it was interesting, and I learned a good bit, and it was not a bad experience. But whenever you do anything that's a little bit political or a little bit anything,
you're gonna have people saying you're siding with it.
You do get, you know, whatever. We get a lot of feedback, and I would say that like 20. Yeah, I'd say probably 20% of the feedback, maybe 50, when you do something a little bit political, is that's not what Freakonomics is. And I think that's so cute, because what I want to say to people, but I know I would sound like a jerk, but I'll say it here because I don't mean it, is actually what Freakonomics is kind of what I decide I want to do that week. That's all it is.
Oh, mic drop! He said, I'm going to do what the fuck I wanna. I respect it. He said, you're not the boss of me. I'll give him a like. He said, it is what I decided it is because I'm the one who started it. Okay, all right. It didn't really explain exactly what Freakonomics was to me, but I do like a lot of ideals that the Forward Party has come up with, and I feel like they're worried about things that a lot of political parties discount because a lot of us discount it. Like AI taking over jobs in the workplace. I remember Andrew Yang talking about that on Rogan. And I know a lot of people hate Rogan, but you know, there was a really good conversation with Andrew Yang, and he was breaking down how like AI and not only just AI, but like self-driving vehicles. It was funny because I remember listening to this podcast and thinking, he he's kind of full of shit, probably. You know what I mean? He was talking about how all these factories are going to be going to automation and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't see that happening. I've worked in a factory for 5 years of my life. And this is where, like, I've started feeling stupid because I was like, it was like right after watching this interview, like a couple weeks after, my factory goes and they're like, hey, we're introducing cameras into our presses, and these presses will be able to watch themselves, which eliminates 2 jobs basically per press. And we had 5 presses. So eliminating those jobs, and they cut down basically as soon as they got it running, they cut down on down to 1 person per press watching it, to make sure that it wasn't messing up. But it's not going to be long before that's gone, and they just go fully just relying on those cameras and have maintenance people come around to check on them when they mess up. And I realized, I was like, holy shit, a lot of stuff he was talking about actually might have some. And so I started listening to a little bit more, and he was talking about how like truck drivers are going to get targeted a lot with self-driving. And I remember personally like being like, self-driving is never going to work unless all vehicles are like that. And I've obviously been proven wrong. Back in 2019, I got a Model 3 Tesla while I was at work, and it's insane, the stay in the lane qualities, and now a lot of other companies are following along with that. And like, you can see 10, 20 years from now, that's definitely going to affect our economy, and you're going to have a bunch of people that aren't going to have a job due to these processes. And you could say that that probably won't happen, but there's plenty of examples of like irrigation in California, where they basically went to like automatic waterings, like watering for crops, just basically irrigation systems. And all these people lost their job. I think it was in the 70s in California, if I remember right. And it was this huge deal because people never saw that even coming. And I was in automotive, Peyton, and so I think that we're kind of got blinders on a little bit, and we're not really aware of what technology is going to do to change some of these things. And I think those are the kinds of people we need up in high up. Like, I don't know whether it be president or advisor or what, something like that. But like some of these things, I feel like we get caught up in our own little bullshit politically, and we don't really look forward to what we need to do to adapt as a country. Instead, we just kind of argue over things that are common fucking sense, right? Like, hey, let's take away these person's rights, or let's, like, it should be, we should be able to do what we want without, as long as it's not, interfering on somebody else on a personal, maybe not personal level, but definitely a physical level, right?